Hi, I'm Leanne Walbaum, and I'm a social worker at Belvedere High School.
Hi, I'm Michelle Eckland, and I am the Dean of Students here at Belvedere High School. And today we will be talking about Level 1 supports. BHS was Level 1 certified in 2018. In the time since then, we have experienced a lot of change due to both the pandemic and continued improvement towards becoming a high reliability school. We would like to highlight some of the practices that have further built and maintained BHS as a safe and collaborative school.
The PBIS team has continued to work to improve our system in order to teach and reinforce expectations for all areas of the school. Currently, we are preparing for first day teaching in the fall of 2022.
POSIP is a data tool as a survey that is sent out regularly to students and parents. Through this feedback, we are able to keep a pulse on parent perception throughout the year.
At BHS, we slay moquitas through regular conversations at staff meetings and follow up through surveys and quick data. Staff are open to discuss moquitas with each other and administration. PLCs are encouraged and celebrated for slaying moquitas amongst their teams.
Over the last few years, there has been a huge push and a lot of time allocated for the PLC work. Our teams are using their time to become consistent in their expectations in grading practices based on data reviews.
During the last couple of years, ad hoc teams often come together to meet identified needs in a timely manner. A couple of examples of these is a team that was put together to evaluate our tardy policies in the classroom and a team that evaluated our ISS expectations. Focus groups have become a big part of our culture as well. Students are nominated by their peers to represent their class in a discussion on school policies such as dress code and bathroom procedures. This information is utilized to make school-wide decisions.
Celebrations continue to be a huge part of BHS. We just celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week, and a group of athletes are signing this month with colleges. This year, we have pushed to celebrate the everyday with a celebration calendar. The students enjoyed water bottles for World Water Day and stress pencils for National Stress Awareness Day. We have even dedicated a day for each grade level and each individual group of employees so that everyone can celebrate everyone this year.
Our school has been dedicating resources more effectively to support students in a post-pandemic world. We've added a resource for families to access outside counseling in an easier manner. We've increased our bilingual and special education staff, and we've added a full-time social worker to help address social-emotional concerns.
The BHS team has access to data throughout the year that supports our efforts to maintain a safe and collaborative environment for learning. We rely on quick data through Google surveys to staff and students. Examples of these include specific HRS quick data, hall sweep surveys, and a survey regarding tardy policy preferences from teachers. We use a formal survey called POSIP that helps us keep tabs on parent perception, and staff perception through POSIP will be added next year. This survey is sent automatically to parents and staff through email. The Panorama survey is given twice each year to students and allows us to understand their perception of their own social emotional skills, as well as their perception of the school environment and supports within it. At BHS, we often review systems through ad hoc committees made up of department representatives. This qualitative data is reviewed and is very helpful in creating and implementing change.
As you can see, BHS is committed to building and maintaining a safe and collaborative school for all stakeholders. In our ever-changing times, we continue to review our systems and improve where we need to.
Hi, my name is Stacy Payne.
And I'm Jeremy Edwards, and we're here to talk about Level 2. We're kind of talking about our continuing efforts to improve our teaching here at Belvedere High School. We'll discuss the processes that we utilize to ensure that our faculty is continually improving our teaching process.
Some of the things we've done is to talk about the Lencioni teamwork, which is at the building level. Also at the building level are working on SMART goals. Our district has implemented PD dealing with blended classroom training, Danielson training, fierce conversation training.
And so those have all been initiatives that we've done that we've all received training on. But the things we're going to focus on most today are our instructional rounds, our walkthroughs, and our PLC process. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the instructional rounds. So this is one of the few things we actually had to create that we didn't already have a process in place for. So I was on the team that started the instructional rounds, and what we do is we dedicate 1 week every semester, and we call it instructional round, and we ask for teachers to voluntarily open up their classrooms to visits from other teachers. And if you're teaching something new or want feedback, or if we just have our experienced teachers open up their classrooms, and some of our new teachers, even if they're excited about something new that they're going to teach. And so we try and promote as much teachers visiting other classrooms as possible. When teachers complete a visit, and it only needs to be 10, 15 minutes, it's not the whole hour. So you can visit 2 or 3 teachers in a prep period. The teachers then fill out an exit slip. And then on that exit slip, we talk about what did you learn from those visits. So in some of our data in December of 2018, we had 19 teachers open up we have about 80 teachers. And we had 24 visits. Then in February of 2019, we had 41 teachers open up, and we had 109 visits in a week, and that was doing great. And then we kind of had COVID hit. And so in December of 2020, we had 22 teachers open, but we only had 34 visits. And then in 2021, we tried to do a virtual rounds where teachers could log into other teachers' classrooms, into their Google Meets. We had 15 teachers offer to open up, but we only had 27 visits. So our numbers have gone down. However, the consistent response we're getting is for every teacher that goes to visit another classroom, they are almost 100% positive about learning something from those teachers that they visit, whether it's classroom design, whether it's teaching technique, opening the way they open their classroom, the way they close their classroom, the way they got formative feedback from the kids. So every interaction has been a positive one.
One of the other things we established were walkthroughs. First thing we did was to establish norms, and the people who are going through this is a voluntary system. Teachers volunteer to go into other classrooms for no more than 15 minutes. We give them norms. We also give them a feedback form, and then they put that into an electronic Google form. It's based on the walkthrough data is based on our model of instruction. This is our model of instruction. So these are the things that we look for on our walkthroughs, clear and relevant standards, and then the way it could be done in a classroom. Observable growth mindset, posters, student action language, student ownership in learning. So are they given a choice? Are they tracking their progress? And then last is effective and systematic feedback. Do we see students getting feedback from the teacher to help in their growth? Then we also keep track of what is going on every time we do our walkthroughs, which is about, again, once a semester. So you can see here, we have round 1 from 2018 in the yellow and round 1 from 2019 in the yellow. And you can see some things have stayed pretty much the same. Some things have changed, and we have some other data here depending on the different part of the model of instruction.
And as somebody who has volunteered to go around and look through these, you only get about 10 or 15 minutes. So
Right.
You're not going to see everything that's on the checklist. We're just trying to, a brief glimpse, and it's really a school-wide snapshot of how we're doing on our model of instruction. Because this model of instruction is something that we've all agreed, all the teachers have agreed, this is what quality teaching looks like. And so we're just kind of keeping track of our progress. Are we improving in having our standards visible and on the board, or are there fewer now? And if they're fewer now, well, we can take steps to correct that, and really reinforce the positive habits and the positive strategies that we know are best for kids and the best for learning. So we keep track of that, and it's really kind of our teachers self-monitoring and making sure that we're doing the best that we can for kids.
And not only do we keep the data on our website, but we also send the data out in an email to all of our teachers so that they can see any changes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the last major component that we're going to talk about today for ensuring that our teachers are using the best practices possible is our PLC process. And we're both content leaders. So I lead the biology PLC, and I monitor the chemistry and the integrated science. And I just check in with those other teachers periodically to see how their PLC process is going. And I know Stacy and I have been here for I've been here for 8 years. Stacy's been here longer than that, right?
Longer than that. Almost over 20.
So since we've been here for this major transition over to standards-based grading. So when we started in 2015, 2016 was just establishing what are we going to teach? What are the priority standards for each subject area? And then once we got that established, then it was, well, what does mastery look like? So how do we teach each priority standard? What curriculum what like supporting materials do we use? And then what does a 3.0 look like? That was a major discussion for almost every priority standard is what does mastery look like? When a kid has this mastered, what should they be able to do, say, produce in order to show that mastery? And now we're to the point where we call what this is stages 4 and 5 and even 6 is what strategies are we using that's most effective in the classroom? So just in my biology PLC, we were just started to talk about evolution where we pulled up the standard and we all knew exactly what the 3.0 standard looks like. Here are the bullet points that we know kids need to hit. So it was a brief discussion on just clarifying those, making sure we're all on the same page. And then it's, okay, so how are we going to assess students? What options do students have to show that mastery? In the last unit, students had a project that they could do, or they could take a more traditional multiple choice and short answer exam. But then it's inter-rater reliability. We would take an exam, take off the student name, take off the teacher name, and then have all of us grade it and make sure that we're all assessing at the same level and giving out consistent grades. And then we can look at the data from those formative assessments, common formative assessments, and from summative assessments, and we can look and see which teachers have had the most success. And then we can ask some really difficult questions about like, well, what are you doing in your classroom that I'm not doing? Or what are some other factors that could be going on so that every teacher can be as successful as possible in getting kids to the 3.0 level, as many kids as possible to the 3.0 level.
As you can see, we've got several processes in place to help our faculty to continue to improve their teaching practices, to help our students learn the material, learn the skills, and to do better next year in their classes or even this year. We've had problems like most school districts have with COVID and social distancing. This has really curtailed our ability, especially to do instructional rounds and walkthroughs. We're hoping for in the fall that these restrictions will really be lessened and we'll really be able to get back into going and visiting other teachers' classrooms and seeing what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. And then again, so that we can really fully implement and see all the benefits really of all of our practices. And again, to make Belvedere High School the best it can be with the best teaching possible. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello,
I'm Andy Werhane,
I'm Sarah Nordstrom.
and we're doing our overview of how we are maintaining HRS Level 3 as we move on to HRS Level 4. First thing we want to show you guys is that we show you that we still have every course in our building that is aligned to state or national standards, and we have prioritized those standards to make them manageable for every course, and that they are guaranteed that every student who takes any course in our school, actually it's both high schools, has a guaranteed set of standards and guaranteed learning opportunities. One of the ways we show this is the tab that we are sharing here is our high school prioritization process document. And we have, for every different department, we have their syllabus, which we'll talk about in a minute. We've got the link to every standard that they've prioritized, and we've got a process to go through that makes sure that every course is double checked by the curriculum department to make sure that we do guarantee the same standards all the way across and that everyone buys into that. So that's one thing we wanted to show.
So each PLC within each department take those standards. And this semester or this year, we have been really focusing on inter-rater reliability and then making sure we have common assessment data and that's clear, like that criteria is clear. And that's part of a process that we call our stages 4-5. So in stage 4-5, as you can see here, we make sure at the 3.0 level, we have very specific language of what is required for a student to show proficiency at a 3. And then we also have what you're likely to see or not see if a student is attempting the 3, making their way, progressing towards that 3. So they're in that 2 range. Then once that criteria has been determined for that standard, then the teachers do a process of calibration where they bring evidence of the common assessment, and then they go through and standardize their grading of it. So they all agree on this is what a 3 looks like, this is what a 2 looks like because they're missing this information, so that they can all be very accurate in giving feedback to students, and that way that a 3 in one class is going to be the same as a 3 in another class.
So that is the stage 4-5 process that we literally take that from there. We have 6 stages to the PLC process, and this is stage 4, agreeing on criteria, and stage 5 is inter-rater reliability. So that's where this comes from. In order to support all of this learning, we have been using Empower for our data warehouse, for our grading, for our scoring, so learning management. And as you can see, here is my grade book for one of my classes. We have a couple standards left here at the end of the year, but you can see where every kid is on each standard. We could get all the way into what they've got on every piece of evidence to go behind each standard. But the cool thing is these standards are exactly the same in every English 10 course, of which both Sarah and I teach. And so we can run reports that shows how one of us is doing on a standard compared to the rest of us, etc. And we can do all kinds of data analysis to make sure that what we think we're doing in stage 4 or 5 is actually being backed up here in Empower. And we can track how well our students are doing on our standards and adjust what we're doing from there. So unfortunately, we are transitioning away from Empower for next year. So we used to use course overviews like this one here, where you see a math accelerated geometry course overview, where we've got units here, we've got our standards unpacked and their scales, we've got some assessment examples, and we've got our textbook here. These were course overviews of how things happen. We did this all to align to standards and make our units around those standards based on what we were doing in Empower. We are switching away from Empower and returning back to Canvas as our LMS and back to eSchool as our data and reporting for the future. So we have changed our process a little bit, and I will let Sarah share about that.
So this is the new syllabus format. So same information, but just a little bit of different format. So across the 2 high schools, we are going to have our units, and then based on what standards we're teaching in their unit. So for example, as our workplace skills unit, we use the Illinois Essential Employability Competency. So that's part of those 21st century skills that we use. And then you can also see that there are Common Core standards as well. In blue, you have common assessments and the product examples that the students would produce for that unit.
And yeah, so this all is replacing that. We're going to get edited or audited by the ROE coming up. So this is our new process of putting the entire contents of the course together while also still trying to align to standards and be very clear about which standards are happening in which units and which skills are being applied.
So we take the data that we've been analyzing, and we have a lot of ways that we can intervene when students are not showing proficiency in those standards. So we have what we call Bucks Win and Buck Club. Buck Club is like a homeroom type of class where the student will have the same teacher all 4 years, which creates a really good system for having an constant adult that they can get feedback from. And that is when they look through what their progress report is and make plans for what they're going to do during Bucks Win. So Bucks Win is a consistent every week, consistent amount of time that they can go see any teacher for intervention. So they can do reassessments, they can ask questions, they can go in and work, they can use that time as a study hall if they are meeting all their standards. And we even have win days. So 2 days at the end of each semester, if the student are passing and they are not missing any of their standards, they do not need to come. And then students that do need to show proficiency in a standard can come and reassess on that day. They can try to turn in missing work and work their way towards meeting that gap.
Mm-hmm. And then if they even don't make that for the win days, getting their couple of extra days to meet the standards that they're still behind on, then we have what's extended summer school. So instead of the kids retaking a whole course, or, they may be failing the course right now, but when summer school starts, they just get a chance to make up those standards that they're still missing. And they go to summer school for as long as it takes to get those credits back in the courses they need to get them back in. And then they're done with summer school and they get their credits for making up those standards instead of having to retake whole courses. So we have that extended summer school as an option as well to extend and intervene on learning for students. And then on top of all of that, we've recently discovered that our evidence, our data has shown some gaps in our programming. And when we started looking, we realized that our EL students are are pretty far away from the guaranteed and viable curriculum that we're looking for in some instances. So we changed our programming for next year. They were going to do a lot more push in to mainstream classes for students in EL. And we're going to have like a co-taught style support where the EL instructor is going to be in with the mainstream teacher and supporting with the language in that way, so that our students get more interaction with that core guaranteed and viable curriculum, because we found that they were getting a little bit far away from that in self-contained EL courses. So that's one way in which we're using the data to analyze our systems and make changes for the future. So there's our overview on how we're maintaining level 3. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great day.